Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have a special guest. She's a dating and relationships coach. She's a relationship matchmaker and the creator of Love Prescriptions. We have Holly McCusker. Welcome to the show, Holly.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, LeTroy.
All right, great. Great to have you. So, just tell us about Love Prescriptions. What is it?
Okay, yes. So, Love Prescriptions is a relationship institute. It's where everybody can come for coaching, advice, consultation, learning about dating and relationships. Even we have lots of digital courses that our clients go through. We have both individual and group coaching. This is this is a passion of mine that developed through my matchmaking journey into coaching into creating my own business.
Okay. All right. So take us all the way to the beginning. Like, just talk about your personal journey in dating. And I know you were married, and just talk about the end of the marriage and how it led you to getting into matchmaking and coaching.
Absolutely, because my journey, like everything, is tied together. It's a very interesting journey. So, going all the way back to college, my freshman year in college, I met my husband. So I was engaged at a very young age. Thought I knew everything at that time about what I wanted in a partner. But as you know, you're young and you haven't really learned about yourself at that time in life. So, but did fall in love, and it felt like a wonderful relationship. And we were together for 16 years. We waited to have children. We did our undergraduate and graduate degrees together at the same time, got married. And then once we started to have children, things really shifted in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pretty drastic shift from where we were. But looking back now after what I've learned in the last almost 20 years, I can see where things fell apart, but not having that hindsight and not knowing then, it was really blindside. I was blindsided with the end of our marriage, and I was raising two babies at the time. And so, unfortunately, it was a pretty tragic ending because he took his own life. So I was left to navigate what happened in this relationship and how do I go on being a sole parent to these two babies, and also then eventually navigate the dating world again for myself. So
Right.
there was a lot going on at a young age that, again, like had I known what I know today about relationships, it would have been easier to navigate. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Um, did you blame yourself, for the deterioration of the marriage and then
I,
his untimely demise?
I would say that I went through different variations of feelings. Like, for the most part, it was easy to point the finger at him because he did a lot of damage in the end to the marriage. But I do now, looking at my own self, because I think it's so important to heal through our relationships and to learn. I can see where there was codependency. I can see where I was relying on him for external validation. A lot of the things we do in relationships where we look to a partner to fill these voids or help us heal from our wounds, our origin wounds. And I didn't have a lot of awareness around what was even going on for me at that time. And so, yeah, I can see where I had an expectation of him as a partner to do things that I really needed to do myself.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of times, I guess, the post-mortem of a relationship is often when you learn the most about yourself and how to do better moving forward?
Yeah, I think if done properly, right? Because I think a lot of people don't want to face the pain of the ending. and face the feelings that go along with it. So instead of really feeling that through and getting to the next stage of acceptance and self growth, we often skip that step and we go into the next relationship, and then we carry all of the same patterns and try to do the same thing again. And I think that's why we have a 50% divorce rate. And then at second and third marriage, it's like 67 and 73%, right? So we're just
Uh-huh.
recycling the same problems we're bringing into every relationship, blaming our partner on it. But it's really, we always have a part in it, right? So we have to
Mhm.
figure out what that is.
Right. So how did you make that shift from seeking external validation to building that strong relationship from within?
I think the breakdown of my marriage really helped that, because I was like, whoa, when my marriage ended, I was like, what happened? This felt like a fairy tale. I had this beautiful marriage. I had someone constantly telling me how much they love me. Like, there was no sign that this was going to just destruct, right?
Hmm.
So I think what I learned, because there was a lot of questioning around, did he even love me? Like, was this a facade? What was I living? And I recognized that I was putting all my trust in somebody else. And I had to really build self trust. I had to learn how to navigate what I was feeling and trust my intuition. But I think that goes back to childhood and being told what to do all the time and told how to feel. And so when we get to this stage, we're like, whoa, this is not what I expected. So um, yeah, I think that there were a lot of concepts I needed to learn. And again, putting me in that space where I was a sole parent. I was in a lot of pain. There wasn't a lot of space to work through the pain.
Hmm.
And so I threw myself into dating, and I just thought it was a numbers game. Like, how many people can you date? And something has got to click or stick or
Right.
feel good.
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah, and I'll say from my experience, like whenever a serious relationship ended, I felt like um, the best way to extract revenge, even though it wasn't directly tied to that person, it was to go out there and, like you said, accumulate numbers and
Yes,
like.
because someone's going to affirm it's like, you don't want to be right. You're in defensive mode, right? So you just need something to affirm that you're still good and whole and,
Mhm.
worthy and all those things. But again, all of that has to come from within.
Mhm.
And then you enter into a relationship. Like, ideally, that's how it works, but
Right.
that's not how it's working out there. You know that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So like when you're coaching your clients and they're like just dealing with heartbreak, what exercises do you recommend for them to become more self-aware?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I just developed a breakup course that takes you through the stages of grief. And while it's not linear, you can absolutely see where you are in each stage. And it's helpful because, with a breakup, and I see this with a lot of my clients, there's a lot of self judgment, especially if they can't get over what has happened, or they get into that bargaining, they get stuck in the bargaining stage. Like, what if I did this, or if I changed this, or if I just didn't say this? It's a lot of inner critic going on there. So, when you look at the stages of grief and you compare them to the breakup, and you can see, okay, I'm in the anger stage here. Okay, I started out in denial. Now I'm in anger. I may go back to denial, but, okay, now I'm in the bargaining stage. Well, where we really need you to eventually get to is almost like the sad depression stage, because if we don't feel all of those things, if we don't feel the weight of the experience and recognize it does sometimes feel like a death. You've lost not just the person, but the dream of the future of what you potentially had together, right? And then there's
Mhm.
always this sense of, did I fail, or how come I keep failing? So this, again, the self judgment. So um, I think what we were saying before was, you get stuck in that, I can't feel this pain. I'm going to distract myself. I'm just going to go out and date a bunch of people. I'm going to do this and that. So really getting people to be in that in that stage and understanding what their pain is trying to teach them. And then they can get to the next stage where they've accepted it and now they can do the self growth work. So then we move on into let's talk about how to build a relationship with self and all the concepts like self acceptance, self trust, and all those things. And then when you're strong there, we can move on to let's talk about how to date again and let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about what your relationship core values are. Because I think a lot of people don't, they date aimlessly, right? So they've got this checklist and I want, this degree and this much money and he's got to do this, that, and the other. It's a superficial checklist and it never sustains a relationship, right? It might be
Right.
something you enjoy initially, but in the long run, it's got to be what are my relationship core values? What at the foundation of everything is important to me? And if you look back through your relationships that didn't work out, and this is what I have my clients do, I guarantee you the alignment was off. But you weren't thinking that because you had this checkbox, and you needed to, you thought these things were important, and in the end, they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because there's a lot of people out there that they have a list a mile long, and it's almost impossible to check all of those boxes. Um, I'm sure that's a mistake that a lot of singles make. What are some of the other common mistakes that people make when they first start dating?
Yeah, because that, the check boxes, first of all, their dating mindset is completely off. They're going into it with a very fixed mindset. And when something on that checkbox doesn't line up, it's like I'm out, right? They're not even in the present moment thinking about how they feel on this date, how they feel connected to a partner. So they're in, what is termed their masculine energy. They have an agenda, they have an expectation, they have like they're going about it like a job, almost like a job instead
Mm-hmm.
of a partner. And how do I feel? They're not connected to their heart, they're in their head. And a lot of that checklist is trying to fill a void. So it's something that they either need to have to show that they're worthy or that they're lacking in themselves. So they need this in a partner, right? So the dating mindset is a big one. And then just really authenticity is huge because we're always putting on masks to be accepted by others, and so that bid for acceptance becomes more important than who I am in the relationship. So you end up sacrificing a lot of what you want when you just because you want to be accepted by someone else. And then there's that fear of rejection. Nobody wants to be rejected, so they either self sabotage, they create, they have limiting beliefs that get in their way. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of ways that we're going about this wrong
Uh-huh.
in the dating world, and that it makes sense why things just don't work out.
Right. So you spoke on wearing a mask. Like, is that something that I'm pretty sure we've all done where we've gone into a relationship and we don't want to be vulnerable and open up too fast? But is there a too fast when it comes to removing the mask, or should you just be yourself from the beginning?
I mean, ideally, you know who you are and you know like why you put these masks on, right? So I know I have a people pleaser mask and I recognize why I put that on and I recognize where it comes from. But then I also recognize if I wear this mask and I don't let it down, and then I get into this relationship and all of a sudden I'm trying to let it down. Well, this person is seeing someone completely different, right? Because I was the flexible, easygoing, acquiesce on everything, whatever you want to do type of person. And now I'm like, actually, I have an opinion,
Hmm.
right? And so it doesn't, it's like you don't have to be, and you can still be fun and flirty and all these things, but I think you have to be true to yourself from the get go, and you have to know what does that even mean to you.
Hmm. Yep. All right. So I'm always hearing from my single friends just how terrible it is out here on the dating scene. Like, and it could be due to numerous factors. It could be their expectations are too high. They're meeting the wrong people at the wrong time. The dating apps are dry. They don't know where to meet singles. They're too busy with work and kids. They're comparing everyone to people from their past and a lot more.
Yeah.
Just talk about the matchmaking process. Like you said, you've been doing it for a while, and you're one of the leading matchmakers in the country. So just talk about why you got into that, and why it's a better alternative to trying to find people out here in the wilderness.
Yeah. So I mean, I got it. I've always been a lover of love, fascinated with the whole relationship journey and all of that. And just really wanting that back for myself as well. So when I started matchmaking, I was also dating myself. So I thought, wow, I have a ton of experience. I'm going to be able to share this. And the matchmaking part was and is exciting, and it's impactful and all the things. But what I recognized is that people absolutely get in their own way. So you can come to a matchmaker, spend tens of thousands of dollars, and if you're not in the right headspace, it's just not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I started studying my clients to see like what's different between the ones I've had a lot of engagements and marriages. What's different between that client and the ones who are continuously on the dating wheel, right? So one of the big pieces was curiosity, coming from a place of curiosity and being flexible. So it wasn't you didn't you maybe had a checklist, but you were able to bend on those things. So because of that, and just like seeing people spending a lot of money and wasting it, that's why I heavily went into the coaching part of things, because if people did not come in with curiosity, we could start peeling back those layers to find out why are you so rigid on these things? Why, even like you have a lot of clients coming in, they got to have a certain height on a man. It's like 6'4". Well, what does that signify for you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's protection. Okay, so just because somebody is that tall means they protect you, which when you like peel back all these things, that's not actually the reason, right? Because somebody 5'5" could still protect you in other ways.
Right.
So yeah, but I will say working with a matchmaker provides like a level of discernment, so really gets people to look at what they're doing in the dating process. So you have this person to work with and challenge you, right? Because otherwise, if you are continuously going at the same process in the same way without changing anything you're doing, you're going to continue to get the same results.
Mm-hmm.
So if your matchmaker especially has some ability to coach and really challenge you, and help you get out of your own way and help you change your dating mindset and law of attraction, all those things, then the process, the matchmaker doing the work as well. I'm all over the place with this, but I'm thinking, so if you are constantly picking the wrong person, a lot of that is you're attracting into your life what you're trying to heal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's often not the right partner for you. And it also can be toxic, right? You could be bringing in a lot of toxicity. So having a matchmaker allows them to be making the choices for you, and then not letting you jump ship, right? If you go on a date and you're like, well, all of these things didn't check off, well, let's talk through that. Let's talk through why it's important that you go on another one or two more dates. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you can go on one date and it's not sparks and all of that, but you go on a couple more dates and you feel that build over time. So I think having that person there to support you through the process, um, it's a game changer, right? It
Mm-hmm.
could create the right alignment for you.
And typically, so do you pretty much set them up with one date at a time, or is it like you may have like two or three potential matches and they go on those dates over like a 2 week span? Like, how
It's
does that?
all it will the matchmaking process all depends on who the person is, where they live, if there were a lot of options in that area, as well as what sort of cadence are they looking for. Are they more do they more A lot of people would come in and want to just do get to know one person at a time, maybe pause their membership, come back, that type of thing. And then you'd have people who were really open to dating multiple matches and seeing, kind of doing a little bit of a comparison thing, not putting all your eggs in one basket, taking some of the pressure off of it. So we've seen it work either way. And it really just comes down to the preference of the client, what's going to work for them, and as well as like um, the who do we have in the area that is an actual match for you.
Hmm. And like overall, your success rates, like how well did you do?
My success rate was pretty high. A lot of engagements and marriages. I think I have eight people who are married now, and lots of relationships. So I did have the highest success rate at the company that I work for. So but again, I attribute a lot of that to coaching pieces. Even after they were in the relationship, they would continue to coach with me.
Hmm.
So if they were thinking of not continuing in the relationship, we could talk through that and figure out what was coming up for them that was maybe getting in their way, or what felt uncomfortable, or yeah. So
Hmm.
that was
So you
helpful.
received a lot of wedding invitations.
Yes, I've been to a few weddings, and it's always, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I can still remember the first few um engaged, when you hear your clients are getting engaged and things like that. It's a wonderful feeling. Um but I think when you change someone's life through getting them to look at the entire experience in a different way, getting them to look at the relationship they have with themselves, because that supports all relationships, whether it's work, family, it's changing that whole dynamic. So even if they don't find their match with me, they're going to be more successful when they go back to dating, whether it be online dating or, meeting somebody organically.
Hmm. Yeah. So for love prescriptions, you have a team of coaches with varying styles. Describe your
Yes.
describe your style.
Um, Gosh, what is my style? I mean, I love to make a great impact. Like, I do want to see a transformation with clients. And so I do like to challenge them and dig in and really see what's getting in their way of success. So, but I'm also very kind, compassionate, non-judgmental. I think people feel safe and comfortable in my space. Um, but I will say, yeah, I like to see transformation. So I work well with people who are very open minded and who do approach things with curiosity and can see like things are working for us even when they feel like they're not, right? Even when the universe always has our back, even when we feel like we're getting hit
Hmm.
hard with the obstacles. Um, they're all there for a reason, to teach us and grow.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338, or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
So, are your services only for singles, or do you help out those that are already in relationships or married as well?
Yeah, so we really cater to singles because the background of my team is all matchmaking, and they're all certified coaches. But I'm very fascinated with moving on and creating relationship couples, like working with couples as well. But right now, the majority of our course material and who we work with are singles. But I think it could easily transition into relationships, marriages, or people who are getting engaged and things like that. So I see that in the future for sure.
All right. So like what's like a major takeaway, like something fascinating that you've been seeing when it comes to those clients that you've been working with that us on the outside wouldn't even recognize?
I mean, what I see really significant is it's really cool to see when they come in and they're so frustrated. I'm not saying that's cool. I don't like to see that, right? But you see like they're so frustrated. They have this way of looking at the entire experience, and it's like defeated and self-blame, like all of the stuff they place on themselves. And then you take them through this journey of discovering who they are and looking at all the ways they've gotten in their own way, all the ways they haven't treated themselves well, right? They haven't accepted themselves. They haven't trusted themselves. They don't even know what their true needs and desires are in a relationship. So when you empower them to put themselves first, they don't settle for the crap out there, and they can witness right away, oh, this person is not for me. So it's no longer, oh, I need to see if this person will accept me. It's like, this is not in alignment. I'm out, and it's a fast. And I have an amazing story of someone who, came in with that exact mindset, like, and a lot of cultural limiting beliefs too. So that's a big hurdle, right? So a lot of cultural limiting beliefs, and to really shift the entire mindset to now. Recently, she created a manifestation, 7-page manifestation of the partner she's looking for, and reached out to me a couple weeks ago to tell me she'd had a date, and she's like, this is the guy. Like every single thing on this list. And I don't mean, it's a list, but it's not a list. It's like a desire list. But she's like, it's everything. And I'm like, yes, because you're in alignment now. You've let the universe know that you feel worthy. You know who you are, you know what you want, and you've completely shifted the way you view the world of dating. And so you are going to attract that partner now. So that's what I love to see, just like a whole transformation of.
Nice. Tell me about the 3 C's of relationship sustainability, and do you still believe in it?
Absolutely. I really believe in it because it's very personal. I think what I struggled with going back to the end of my marriage, what I struggled with for a long time was, how could I have this great, great love, this like intense love, and we were extremely compatible, like we were best friends as well. But what was it that was missing? And I searched for that for a long time. And I recognized, wow, it's really the self-growth piece, and it's working on the relationship. Because you can be 2 people in a relationship, but if you're not working together, if you're not understanding yourself, the self-growth, like really being self-aware of who you are in this relationship, what gets in your way, why are you reacting this way, why are you being defensive, why, all these things. If you don't know that about yourself, you can't articulate that with your partner. And if they're not willing to do the same and then hold space for you when you need to work through and heal, because we will continue to heal in every relationship of our life. So we need to be able to choose partners that are on that same self-growth journey, and see the importance of it as well, because it's not just going to miraculously work.
Mm-hmm. Great. What are your personal views on swipe culture? I mean, 'cause I feel like when I was doing it, it was like a buffet line. You're just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you don't have to commit to one dish. You have endless options, and if you don't really get what you want out of one situation, you can easily have a backup plan or 4 or 5 backup plans. So, what's your thoughts on
Well,
swipe
yeah,
culture?
exactly that. And I think that's what frustrates people is that, you have the people out there are very intentional. They want to be in a relationship, and they want to have the time and ability to make it work. But it's a game out there, right? With a lot of people, because yeah, the next best thing comes along. Or if this person doesn't have everything I need, I'm just gonna like, oh, I have another option. And so I find like you have to really sift through to find the other intentional daters who, once you do meet them, you will see the alignment. But I think people quit too quickly because they don't understand that that's what's happening out there. There's so many people that are not your match, but there is somebody that is your match. But it's frustrating what you have to go through to find that person. So again, that really goes, I try to get my clients who want to do the apps to look at it differently. Look at it, put the ball in your court. So don't look at it as like how many people are rejecting me. Don't look at it from a scarcity mindset. Look at it from abundance. So what can this do for me? Well, I can go out and learn a lot about myself. I can learn like what feels good, what doesn't, what helps me feel connected to someone. I have to have a takeaway every time. And that takeaway can't be whether or not this person wants to see me again. It has to be something for me. And so that adds onto your own self-growth. And you can't take things personally. You just can't, because there's a million reasons why that person's not your match. And it most likely doesn't even have to do with you. It could be something going on for them. But yeah, so I don't say it's not the right thing to do, because it's definitely a way to meet people, but I see how frustrating it gets, and I see how it's not the avenue for a lot of people to take.
Yeah, and you have to take a break from it sometimes.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing as social media though, too.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, it's a big distraction, and it can be, very frustrating.
Yeah. But I will say I'm one of the success stories. I found my wife on a dating app, so
I
won't.
know, and such a great success story. So agreed, same. And I
Yeah.
think like I always had luck, and I feel like it worked for me as well. So there is hope for that. There's definitely hope for that. You just have to be a little more intentional, and I'm sure you have a lot of dating stories that
Millions. And you hear a lot of them on the Good Old Boys, my other show.
Oh my gosh. And there's some crazy stories out there. Yes. And I actually got to hear lots of stories through matchmaking. So yeah, just when you think you've heard it all, there's more.
All right. So I'm a huge supporter of some of these reality shows or dating shows like Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. It would seem like Married at First Sight encompasses a lot of what you do, as far as the matchmaking and the coaching. Do you see that as well? Do you see that Married at First Sight
I love these
mirrors
shows too. Oh my gosh, yes. But I am shaking my head a lot of the time with Married at First Sight, because very often I say I would never pair those two together. And I can see immediately why I wouldn't. And so I'm not sure what criteria they use. It seems to be a little more surface level, although it sounds like they put them through a lot of tests. But so often I think there's zero. I know from day one, no way is that couple going to work. No way. But they're fun to watch for sure. And it's fun to see everybody's dynamics coming up, and all their pain, right? You see the origin wounds, you see the defense mechanisms, you see the limiting beliefs, you see it all.
Yeah. And it seems like in a lot of cases, the matchmakers, they try to pair them with someone that they need, but it's on their end, there's like, this isn't what I want. So there's a clash there where it's like these experts, they feel like this person will be beneficial or complement you, and you're thinking about superficial stuff.
Exactly. I totally agree. And I think a lot of these people aren't actually ready for the relationship. They need to do the work first. There should be that step. They should be going to some type of program or school, or take my courses before they're even ready to get into that marriage. So,
right. Yeah. So while you're at it, tell us about the courses and the services you provide with Love Prescriptions.
Sure. So my favorite course is the relationship with self course, because I do think we need that the most. We really need to understand ourselves. We need to build that foundation first before we can show up as a healthy partner in a relationship. It's not to say we won't continue to work on these things, but having that awareness is of the utmost. So that's a big one. And then we have a dating skills course that takes you through 7 chapters. It goes through self-awareness and dating, and it goes through dating mindset, and then it helps you create authentic or understand what an authentic connection is, letting go of the mask, and then looking at your relationship core values and your attachment styles, which is so important in dating, and understanding how people show up there. And then we talk about masculine and feminine energy and how that impacts your dating experience. So there's like a ton of awareness in that program, and it just helps you become a better dater. So that one. And then I did just design a breakup course, and that I mentioned earlier pertains to the levels of grief, because we're working with some clients through breakup. I can see like they're stuck even after a couple of years. They haven't gotten past this partner, and it's because they never fully grieved the relationship. So that's a brand new one. And so, yeah, and also have another one in the works is working on the origin wounds. And that one will be a little bit more for couples, because I think understanding your past trauma and pain is so important to articulate that with a partner. And so this will be an experience that in relationship you can work through, as well as individually, but in relationship is like, I think it's the key and a game changer to making your relationship more successful.
Okay. What does the following quote mean to you? We are not victims of our situation. We are architects of it.
Yeah, because I think that everything in life is a learning journey, and we look back in time and things felt hard when they happened, but it's all a learning experience. And so staying in the victim mentality does not help us. We need it, that we need to go there for grief and to process through our pain. But remaining there will not allow us to get to where we want to be in life. So if we want a relationship, we can't get stuck in blame and resentment and all those things. And we need to, learn from it, grow from it, and be our own architects.
Mm-hmm. Holly, what do you find most rewarding working in this space?
Creating awareness and those big aha moments where people just are like, wow, that I've been to 20, 30 years of therapy and I've never learned like this. I've never peeled back these layers to truly understand myself and really just change the way I show up for everything in life.
Mm-hmm. What do you see when you look in the mirror?
Do I need to do my roots? No, just kidding. I see an inner critic that still needs work. Mm-hmm. I'm being honest.
Great. What's something about you that people find most surprising?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so I am very much a girly girl, but I'm also a fierce competitor. So I've done a couple of marathons. I competed in a lot of triathlons, and really like my competitive side is, I think, surprising to a lot of people. So I have that balance of like girly girl, but fierce. Yeah, I like a challenge.
All right. So you've mentioned love prescriptions, the courses. What else is next for you? Is there a book coming down the pike? Are you going to do some podcast hosting? What's next?
I do love the podcasts. So I'm doing a couple more of those, and I'm really trying to find what feels most authentic to me in terms of getting the word out about what I do, because I feel confident about what I do. But the whole marketing piece for me is not always comfortable, and figuring out where my lane is there is where I'm in limbo right now.
Mm-hmm. So I was watching on the news yesterday here in South Florida. They did a story on. It seems like they're coaches, but they do like 2 times a week. They have they have singles where all black, and whoever else wants to join in. If you're in a relationship, you wear other colors, but they go running. So you mix. It's an opportunity to do meet and greets while getting your fitness up, and then after they finish running, they'll go bowling or go out and grab ice cream or dinner or something like that, and kind of still be able to have conversations beyond running. But I just thought that was an interesting
That's
concept.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'd never
love
heard that
that.
before.
That's fantastic. I love how creative people are being.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Holly, feel free to plug all of your socials where we can find Love Prescriptions, and if you want
Yeah.
to leave us with a parting shot for the singles out there that aren't self-aware or have a checklist a mile long, like just
Yeah.
give us a parting shot.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.loveprescriptions.com and the same thing on Instagram. I have a page on Instagram as well as a Facebook page. And yeah, come join us. We have a great community. We're doing group coaching, which I think is a great way for people to be seen and heard in a different space. Um, and also, I'm very well connected in the matchmaking world. So I love meeting other singles who I may be able to connect with matchmakers out there who have clients. So I'm all about finding love for people in whatever way that happens. I would say I'll leave you with the tip of just think about the way you're approaching your dating experiences and think about coming from a place of abundance instead of a place of scarcity, because when we come from a place of scarcity, we'll always find things out there to confirm that belief. So start peeling back the layers and see how you truly want to show up in this world, and I think you will attract back what you're putting out there.
All right. Holly McCusker, creator of Love Prescriptions. You can find her on loveprescriptions.com. She's also a matchmaker and relationship coach. Thank you for your time this week, Holly.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Joy.
Joy.
I hear that. Oh, yeah. All right. So for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.